You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next big thing, the latest up-and-coming sports journalist, your host, Nathan Snell.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your host, Nathan Snell, the Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode 11, season 15 of the podcast. And at this episode, we are talking about week 3 of the WNBA season. We're ranking 12 through 1. It's been an interesting week, not just on the court, but off the court as well, social media-wise. But before we get into that, there's a few things I have to say up front. I apologize if you've not seen much content on the channel. There's been a couple days. You'll be caught up on all the content. You're going to look out for some NFL content and some Major League Baseball content, particularly the Orioles and the Nationals. Be on the lookout for that. Again, thank you for the support you're giving me and this channel. You can continue to follow me here on YouTube, my Twitter with Nathan Snell. You can also follow my work where I cover the Washington Mystics and the Maryland women's basketball team on MarylandSportsBlog.com. And you will also see me as well, hear me as on the code name WBB, keeping it 9450 Women's Basketball Network. And then during the NFL season with Sean Spencer, one half of the dynamic duo, Let's Talk Football. So you see me on multiple platforms this year. But enough talk. Ladies and gentlemen, he, at this point, is a co-host of Big Nate Sports Talk. Let's welcome recent graduate of Washington State University, Brenden Potts.
Woo!
Brenden, congratulations on a well-deserved journey. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, man. It was an amazing journey. I had such a fun time being at WSU, and I was only there for 2 years, but I completely had a blast, and I'm excited to get on with the WNBA, and it's gonna be a fun summer for sure. But thank you again. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And again, Brenden is a super fan of particularly the women's basketball team. I will leave a link in the description. There was an article written on him about just his support for the team, not just the basketball team, but the volleyball team as well. You can almost honestly, truthfully say he's a celebrity at Washington State. So again, congratulations, Brenden.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And then also too, Brenden does have an announcement, but we will drop that just before the college basketball season starts. He'll want on Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. So stay tuned in for that episode at a later date. So let's get into this episode. Brenden, week 3 of the WNBA season. we really haven't made a dent. Some teams have only played 3 games, some teams have played 4. Still figuring some things out. I kind of see where the season could go for some teams, based on where I think these teams should be ranked. We're doing it 12 through 1, ladies and gentlemen. But just give me a couple of your thoughts on what do you think so far these first 3 weeks.
Yeah, overall, I think, there were talks of the Liberty and the Aces, the two quote unquote super teams, running the entire league, and then the rest of the field is gonna fight over the scraps. But I mean, it's a little bit different than that. I think on WNBA Countdown yesterday, I think it was Rebecca Lobo. It was either her or Cheryl Swoops. Was saying that back when they played, back when they played, it wasn't called a super team, or they didn't use that language, and they shouldn't use it now. And I mean, I completely agree. I think the field is much stronger than we originally thought. And I'm very interested to see where the rest of the teams, including the Liberty and the Aces, figure to be at the end of the season. And but everybody looks to be headed in the direction that we thought they would be so far. So
yeah, I'm in agreement with that. But I'm also kind of one of those that I don't think we need to be labeling teams so quick. Who's going to get to the finals? We haven't made a dent in this schedule. For example, the Washington Mystics, they played 3 games out of 5 days. So teams are still figuring out rotations and different things like that. So let's give me about maybe 10, 15 games, and we'll see. But the season's still young. It's still very early. But there are some things that you kind of wish, like, okay, maybe you could have went in this direction or this approach. So we're going to start with the Minnesota Lynx. The Minnesota Lynx are at number 12. They're 0-4. I'm kind of a little concerned because I don't think they from the vibes that I got listening to the exit interview, everybody seemed like we want to be better than we were last year. You paid Ariel Powers and Kayla McBride to practically be the stars. Ariel Powers is coming off the bench. Kayla McBride missed 2 games due to personal reasons. Hope she's doing okay. This is clearly Nafisa Collier's team. We know that. Diamond Miller suffered an ankle injury. But you've seen the flashes what she can be in this league. I don't really know the identity Indiana has. And then you also, you made the offseason trade to Mariah Jefferson to Phoenix. So I really don't know what to expect from this team. Their defense and offense is literally second to dead last amongst the other teams. I know Coach T has talked about this stat, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. It's very minuscule, but my eyes don't lie. Brenden, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, as a Seattle fan, I'm gonna need Minnesota to start winning some games, so we can get that top pick. But no. In all seriousness, like, you absolutely nailed it on the head. I don't see them as having an identity so far, and they're just a team with a bunch of players on the floor. And I hope Diamond Miller gets back on the court soon, because she has been having a great year, despite the team not having a great year. But I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need them to start winning winning some games, so we can get a higher pick. But no, I definitely see right now. I see their outlook as a top three pick in next year's draft for sure. So
Let me clean up a couple things. I misspoke. They made a trade for Mariah Jefferson when she was in Dallas, not Phoenix. She left free agency to go to Phoenix. When you look at what Minnesota needs, they need a point guard. Those last 2 years after the bubble, where Crystal Dangerfield won Rookie of the Year, they also had LaShare Clarendon. I feel like they don't have stability at the point guard, and they need defense. So I just wanted to clear those things up. But I agree, because I don't want to call it tanking, but it's definitely giving Nafisa Collier and friends.
no, and I don't think you could call it tanking at this point in the season. I also wanted to clear one more thing up and putting a little bit more salt in the wound. They're 0-5, not 0-4. So
Could you clarify? Oh, they're 0-5.
They're 0-5. They're not 0-4. They lost to Dallas yesterday.
Oh, that's right. So
yeah,
0-5. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, a little bit more salt in the wound, but that's okay.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Seattle. I'm sorry, Brenden. Same thing. I think they did a little bit more scoring around Joe Lloyd. Ezzy Magna-Bagor, Kean Nurse, they're going to do their thing. They played New York, and that really wasn't.
Their first three games were Vegas, Dallas, and New York. So we talked about the season just getting off to a start, and it's not really fair for I know Seattle doesn't have much, but it's not really fair to firmly evaluate them after they played two of the quote unquote super teams and an actually good team in Dallas.
I'm just curious, when you see those first three teams, they're practically in the top four of offenses. From your perspective, how did Seattle look defensively? What adjustments could be made on the offensive side of the ball as well?
Yeah, with Seattle, their flaws are apparent to me, and it's because of the losses that we had. Or in the offseason, like we lost Sue Bird because of retirement, and we lost Breanna Stewart to New York. Well, Sue Bird brings the passing that she brought for the last 20 years, and Breanna Stewart is the best two-way player in the league, both because she can play, or she's elite in offense and defense. We gave up. There was a joke yesterday that we played New York and they were the first team that couldn't score 100 on us. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough in the Pacific Northwest right now. But no, everyone on social media is like, where'd our defense go? Like, we used to be such a good defensive team, and I keep saying our defense is wearing number 30 for New York. And that's what I've been saying. And she and Ezzy's holding her own on defense, but Breanna Stewart's been a really big help for us on defense. So that's a big reason why we've gotten so much worse significantly on defense. And on offense, it's the same thing. With another one of our losses, Sue Bird retires. So there goes your assist to turnover ratio. Sue Bird retires, and we're close to the league leaders in turnovers a game. That's not a coincidence. Like, it's really not a coincidence. Like, so with Seattle, you can really identify their flaws, and it's because of the losses that we've had. Like, we we knew this could happen, or we knew this was bound to happen. So
let's move to number 10. I think they'll come down a little bit more. I still think they just need to figure out the roles and everything for this team is Indiana. Again, it's still early in the season, but I kind of been asking this question. I've gotten some responses, yes and no. Erica Wheeler was paid to be a marquee free agent. And she's a good player. She's an all-star. But that she's not playing like one that I've as of yet. Alyssa Smith and Leah Boston. That's going to be one interesting front court duo. And then you add in Queen Enegbo. But you can clearly see the Indiana Fever not playing team basketball. And you could have wins that are ugly, good, but there's some things you need to clean up. And then it could just be some bad losses. And Indiana, they've got some work to do, in my personal opinion. I mean, they did avoid losing their 21st consecutive loss. So I think the last team, I think it was the 2011 before we went to Dallas was the Tulsa Shock. Fun fact. But other than that, I mean, that's really all I see from Indiana. I think they'll get it together. I think their win improvement will be better than what it was last year. But other than that, the roles are still not clearly defined in Indiana, and I'm not liking there's no team basketball.
right, I would have this Indiana's a team this year going so far that I would have liked to see Destiny Henderson play on. I mean, it's unfortunate that that's not the case. I really like what Aaliyah Boston has done so far. She's lived up to I don't want to say lived up to the hype, but like lived up to what she was brought in to do, and she's lived up to that expectation. There we go. But no, you kind of nailed it on the head. They're a team that has been trying to figure it out for a long time, and it's part of the rebuilding process. So I agree with this ranking. I think the only way you would separate the bottom three teams is because of the Indiana win against Atlanta. But it's a change of scenery for what Aaliyah Boston is used to, but that's just the nature of the game. So,
and in her first so far three games, she's been playing exceptionally well. I mean, you can see the defenses focusing on her, where it opens up everything else for the others. So let's give it some more time. There's going to be some growing pains of this season. You're going to see the hot peaks and valleys. This is what a rebuilding team looks like. I did want to stick with the Indiana Fever for a bit. They're not we. I'll be careful with my words. There was a particular sports journalist on Twitter that had a very poor taste of criticizing, but more importantly, it was a very ignorant take. Ladies and gentlemen, let me clarify something to you. And I'll be honest, I'm guilty of doing this. When we critique or criticize players, we go off about their performance on the court, on the field, no matter. Criticism is a part of the game. There are some times where you may say a player is trash. That may be a bit harsh. That's not critiquing. Where critiquing is well, would like to see Lexi Hall, for example, because this is the point of the conversation. Lexi Hall's in her second year, right? I would like her to be a little bit more aggressive with taking more shots like that. That's constructive criticism. Or I would like to get her a better look. She just needs to just improve on her 3-point shooting. That's critiquing. But when you, as a sports journalist, come out and saying they cut Taylor Mikesell for this, that's not criticizing and that's not critiquing. That's plain ignorance. And the fact that they still have not taken down the tweet, to the point where Lexi's dad got involved, it was a very ignorant take. Lexi Hall, from playing the AU and going to second year, there are definitely strides she's made in her game. Taylor Mikesell even came out and defended Lexi Hall, and others, Quinny Negbo. That was just a very disgusting take. And Brenden, I know you had some choice. I know you wanted to say a couple things on it. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw that. I actually know the person. I'm with them on Zoom all the time who posted that tweet, and I was just in disbelief just because of the way it was said. But no, I think you shared the differences correctly, and I when cuts and additions are made, I get as frustrated as anyone because there are some good players that unfortunately don't make this week on a team, and I was actually really happy that that Lexi made the team, and she made the team, and that's in itself is an accomplishment, and she has played. She had a good year last year, and she's progressing this year. You know, you said it earlier. She's only in her second year, so she's still learning and she's still developing and on a developing team in Indiana. But it's not right for you to say, oh, this person deserves her spot just because of a shot that went awry. And it's one thing off a little off track, but one thing I learned at Washington State when interacting with student athletes is that they are as much of a person as you or I, and they are over there, they're like really genuine and you know, they're really friendly and all that stuff. But it could be the same thing with someone, especially in women's sports, because it's taken so with so much more grace because it's a growing sport. And you got to remember when you talk about these athletes, whether it's in a positive or negative way, that it's you're talking about people, and you're getting into their lives. And when you talk about their lives, and you can talk about their game negatively all you want. That's just the first example that you said. But when you talk about they shouldn't have a job, and they should have gone with another employee instead just because of one bad mistake that you didn't mean to cause. Like that's not right. That's essentially what you're saying. And you know, I've met Lexi's Lexi's family. I've met her dad, her mom, her sister, and they're all really friendly. I met them last year when they came to Seattle in July. But they're also Washington natives. They're from Spokane, I believe. I might be wrong, but they're Washington natives nonetheless. And as a Washington State women's basketball fan, I'm also a supporter of Pac-12 women's basketball, and she also fits that bill. So I've been supportive of Lexi for so many years, and so that just adds more support that I'm giving to her on this issue. But that's just my take. I saw Cameron Brink also commented, one of her Stanford teammates. So that was really cool to see her teammates and other people around the W rally around her. And yeah, that's just my take on it. It's a little long, but I think it's definitely necessary.
No, that was definitely necessary, Brendan. Don't ever think that was too long. That's definitely necessary. There is a quick point of order. So Brendan writes for the WNBA lead. He covers the Seattle Storm. So what their each PR representatives do, they send us Zoom links for shoot around, pregame, postgame. The journalist that we're talking about that made that ignorant take, their name is M. Adler. And I there remember they being a part of the when we played the Seattle Storm last year in the first round, the press coverage. So journalists will join that Zoom that meeting link, whether in person or online. So I just wanted to clarify that for where Brendan was he was talking about meeting them on Zoom. So let's move to number 9, the Phoenix Mercury. Let's give it a little bit more time. Brittany BG and Brianna Turner, that duo's back. Still figuring out the roles. I don't think Skylar Diggins will be. There's no anticipated return of her coming off maternity leave. I think the pickup of Mariah Jefferson was big. I also think getting Michaela Onyenwere was also big. Sophie Cunningham is still dealing with a knee injury, but she's definitely stepped up for them. I mean, I'm just going to give it some more time. Brendan, what do you think?
Right. They're a team where they just need more time. And I'm gonna say something really quick because I wasn't here last week when you went over Phoenix. But when Brittany Griner had her home debut, I watched that game for obvious reasons. I watched that game and I had no motivation to do this. I had no intent to do this. But when they play, as soon as they started playing I'm Coming Home, I out of nowhere just cried real tears. That was so amazing, and I just couldn't help but cry real tears for the whole duration of that starting intro. And it's just because she's back home and she's here and she's playing, and it's so amazing to see her back on the court, and she looks great. Like she's playing really, really good. And so I mean, whether you're a Phoenix fan or not, like it's just so good to see her back on the court again. And the way she's just getting fired up all the time, and when when good things happen and she's talking to her teammates on the court, it's just so good to see her back on the court. So I just wanted to say that real quick because I wasn't here last week. But no, yeah, you're absolutely right. Phoenix is a team where they need more time to figure it out. They'll figure it out. They just need more time. Couple of things that I said. I said this a while ago, back when Brittany Griner was announced to be back. Now the magnifying glass gets bigger, way bigger for Vanessa Nygaard. Now you got no more excuses. You might have an injury or two, and that's fine. But your staple, your centerpiece, your core is there, and it's improved. Like you said, Michelle Onyenwere and all the Mariah Jefferson. Those are improvements. And now the magnifying glass gets even like the biggest it's ever gotten with Vanessa Nygaard. The second thing is I didn't even realize Skylar Diggins-Smith was still on the team just because she posted on her Instagram that she was watching the game from the stands, and I'm like, did she get cut? And
No,
yeah,
she's
yeah,
still
yeah.
she's on maternity leave. We
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know when she'll be back. Yeah.
I saw that it was that she had an injury designation for maternity leave, and I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense. So I was a little confused when I saw that picture. I'm like, did she get cut? So yeah, that's my take on Phoenix. They just need a little bit more time to figure it out.
Let's move on to number 8. I'm might take some flack for this, but I'm gonna put the Atlanta Dream here because I do think that a couple things. You lost to Dallas. Then you came back against Minnesota, and then you lost to the Fever. I still think they're in the midst of an identity redefine their identity. Alicia Gray, I think her and Ryan Howard, they're playing ball. Naz Hillman, I think from just having a big year. I don't want to say this is the year where there's no excuses, like you said for Minnesota, you said for Phoenix, excuse me, but the rotations could be used a bit better. I think it's just more of a trying to find the right chemistry, the right lineups. Like let's Letitia here from South Carolina Gamecock. They hasn't been getting in the game. She just got in the game this previous game. And before that, there was a question asked to Coach Wright about why she's not getting the playing time. And basically it kind of came across like, you have to earn your minutes. And that's fair to a certain extent. I think if she had came out and said, like, hey, this is the rotation I'm going with right now. Be patient. We see her working. And I also preceded Cheyenne Parker to kind of intrude and saying, I didn't play my rookie year, which is not correct. She did play. She didn't start a game, but she did play. I just think they're just still figuring out their chemistry. So that's really my 2 cents on Atlanta. Let's give a little bit more time with them, and I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Haley Jones, who also she got her minutes yesterday. 13 points in 19 minutes. So that's awesome to see her get that chance.
Should have been a Washington Mystic, but that's okay.
No, nonetheless, like she's starting to get really good minutes. And shout out to Arian McDonald too. 28 minutes, 8 points yesterday. But no, looking at their first 4 games, like they're very like decent. They're a decent team. Like they've beaten. They lost to Dallas to start the year, and then they beat Minnesota, a bottom team, and then they lost to Indiana, another bottom team, and then they beat Chicago, a top team. So they're a little all over the board, which for a team like Atlanta, it should be more apparent down the line of where they fit in this league, or in the standings. But no, right now it's they're a little just all over the place. I'd say incomplete right now. But they're a little similar Phoenix, but they're another team that just needs more time.
Yeah, and I mean, I just said that I think, yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm going to give it more time. So, I mean, I'm not really truly worried about them. I think they'll be fine. Ryan Howard, All Star. Alicia Gray's an All Star. They'll get it together. Number 7, I kind of kept them at the same place, but it was an incomplete because they they had a terrible sick bug, which they were. We really, I posted a reaction, because they had six, 7 of them that had a non-COVID illness. This was ring night against the Aces. Oh my gosh. Um, they did sign Ray Burrow to a hardship contract. Um, Same thing. I think the culture's changed with LA. I think they're bought into Kurt's system defensively. I mean, I'm not really too worried about it right now. I mean, Lexi Brown is just going out there and just playing. Uh, with she's just getting better from last year. Even AU, I just see her improves in her game. Um, the lineups he's had out there, I'm actually not mad at it. I still think once we get Jasmine Thomas back, and Asbury Stevens, um, I think there'll be a little bit more stability. Um, I do have concerns about their wing depth because Stephanie Tolbert and Katie Lou Sampson, they're out long term. So I'm a little curious to see where their wing depth is going to be tested. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to Katie's sister Carly, who stepped it up while she's been on the team, and it's so good to see her get her shot. It was a little odd to see her get cut right before the season started, and then she got picked up for opening day. But with the Sparks, I only have a 1 game sample size of watching them. That was the opening day of the season against Phoenix. But no, they look good. I absolutely agree. I think they'll if not already, they'll buy into Kurt Miller's system. I think Kurt Miller, as much crap as I have given him while he was with the Sun, I think he's gonna get this team bought into his system, and they're a team that's gonna figure it out. But when they figure it out, I think they're gonna be really good. Also, shout out to Laisha Clarendon for getting her shot to be back in the W. It's so good to see her back. And I hope Azara Stevens gets back healthy soon. But I do want to give a little bit of a hot take with the Los Angeles Sparks. I think if Aaliyah Boston plays kind of like she has, it's good play. But I think if she doesn't take it up a level, I think Zaya Cook might mess around and compete with her for Rookie of the Year. She has been playing great.
Is that a guarantee?
I think it might be. It might be.
You think Zaya Cook? So you're saying
I don't think she's gonna win. I don't think she's gonna win Rookie of the Year. I think she could take second next to Aaliyah Boston. I think she could take that top spot at the end of the year if she really steps up her game, because she's been playing great.
That's an interesting hot take, Brenden. I'm not mad at that. That's interesting.
Yeah, we'll see at the end of the year, but I like Zaya's fit into the W so far. I think she's played sensational.
For sure. Let's really quick. We're going to get into the sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk podcast, and that is Zagnif Apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to dress like you're already famous? You can and you will. Check out Zagnif Apparel.
The following is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC.
Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion. Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
And you can most certainly do that with a nice 15% off using my code BIGNATE for 15% off for your final purchase at Zagnif Apparel. Thank you, Zagnif Apparel, for being a sponsor. Let's talk. That's Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. We'll be right back with this break. And we're back. We're going to move on to number 6, the Chicago Sky. For me, with Chicago, I'm not really too deeply concerned with them. Again, Elizabeth Williams was a good pickup for them. Courtney Williams has adapted to the offense. Watching them play the Washington Mystics, they've been playing really well. I mean, you just after all season, when you lose 80% of your starting lineup, I just think that it's hard to argue that narrative with this team. I mean, they're sending a clear message to the doubters. I still think they'll make the playoffs. I mean, even though they did lose to Washington Friday, which was their only loss. I mean, up until to Atlanta, and then they play New York this upcoming Friday and Saturday. Rebecca Gardner, Morgan Burstich are out with injuries. They did beat Dallas Sunday. Yes. So, I mean, I'm not too concerned with Chicago. So, Brenden, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, not too concerned with Chicago. I think James Wade is he's been dealt uncertain combination of cards with the off season that he has or that he's had, and he's been doing well with what he's been dealt with, and so I think though, like LA, I think if once they figure it out and solidify who they are, they'll be a really good team, and they'll be at top of the standings.
And my final point I want to make also too, Isabel Harrison is also out due to she is out with injury, so I'm just a little concerned with their front court depth, but I think they'll be okay. Right. Number 5, the Dallas Wings. Tiara McCowan has to go, unfortunately, back overseas for her Euro basketball commitment. However, Baylor's finest, Kalani Brown, was signed, and in her first in her Dallas Wing debut, did pretty damn well. And I just love the energy. A healthy Satu Sabli and Arike Ngubawale, that really might do some damage against some teams, and I'm scared. Still kind of need to figure out a couple things. Diamond the Shields. So for some point of order, Lou Lopez, Sinatchel,
Sinatra, yeah.
Sinatchel, and Diamond Shields. Thank you, Brendan. They're going to be out for an extended period of time. I didn't know Diamond was going to be out with an extensive injury until just before the opening day. I think with Natasha Howard's athleticism on defense, Crystal Dangerfield's efficiency, and I already know what Arike can do. I'm Dallas. I'm gonna say this right now. Dallas is going to finish as a top 4 seed.
Oh yeah.
In this season.
Guaranteed.
And give them credit. Losing 3 starters last offseason. They've proved me wrong. Brendan.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I could definitely see them finish as a top 4 team. They played Seattle and they played they played Seattle a couple games ago, and it was my first time watching Satu Sabli play. She's good. She's so good, and like you said earlier, I think the combination of her and Arike together, it would be scary, and I absolutely agree. Shout out to Maddie Seagrass having a good start to her year. And I think you said it earlier, but shout out to Natasha Howard. I think she might be a good candidate in the running for most improved because she's been playing great so far, especially with making up for the injuries. And also on Lou Lopez Sinatchel, I hope she gets well soon. She has a leg injury that she just had surgery for, so I really hope that she gets healthy. And the thing that you commented on Haley Jones, she should have gone. Lou Lopez Sinatchel should have gone to Seattle. So so that's my take for another day, though.
Yeah, for sure. The last 4 teams, we're just going to take a couple of minutes because I think there are some things, particularly the last 2 and 1 is really to talk about with those 2 teams. But number 4 for me, the Washington Mystics. We just got to figure out the shooting. I'm a little disappointed right now. A couple of things. We have practically 3 of the same guards that are perimeter guards that do the same exact thing. It's just the shooting. I just think has to be better. I still think give it time. It's still early in the season. We're 4-4. I'm not too concerned. But I do think you do need to be consistent. They talked about we got the shooting, all these things. That was not a great win against Chicago. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with that. That was a very ugly win. Because your backcourt can't go 3 of 28 from 3. That's not going basketball games. Brendan, I'm gonna give you New York Liberty.
Yeah, the Liberty they played so well. I think it's right to put them at 3. Breanna Stewart has played amazing so far. She's I don't know why they're talking about her right now just because she's on the Liberty because she's played this well on Seattle. So no, it was I was a little butthurt when she scored 45 in her second career game, and it was just cold to Seattle fans when she said it feels like I made the right decision. That was a little jab at us, but no, I think they've been playing great. Sabrina Ionescu, that was she was a really big winner of this offseason with her team because now she has more space to catch and shoot, and she's one of the best catch and shooters in the league. And it as an opponent, very painful to watch. But as a basketball fan, I'm happy for Sabrina. So
Number two, the Connecticut Sun. This is my team to get back to the WNBA Finals. Excuse me. Um, they they have everything they address. They have the wing, they have the bench, all the depth that I think that they lacked last year. Um, I still I have some questions about the Coach White's rotations. Um, I definitely think the acquisitions of Ty Harris, Rebecca Allen, Tiffany Hayes were great because they added to the scoring and the defense. Alyssa Thomas, I'm going to predict will be in the MVP conversation. Guaranteed. And the and the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. So I'm not really too concerned with Connecticut. Really not much else to tell there, other than, hey, New York, they just punched him in the face. Plain and simple. Brenden, I'm going to give you the final number one spot, and there's no need to talk about it. The Las Vegas Aces.
oh man, I mean they're just the first game of the season we were matched up against them. I'm like, let's see if they pass the test. They passed the test within the first minute of watching them play. Like they're just so damn good. I mean, I'm joking on social media. I'm like, you might have like four or five MVPs in the running on the same team. Like it's insane because uh individually, like Jackie Young's played great on the team, and everyone's saying like, "Ooh, Jackie Young for MVP," and I'm just like, bro, you could pick 4 or 5 of these players on the Aces, and they'll be in the running for MVP. But no, I mean, with all those jokes of like being a top team, a super team, um, they are. There's a difference between a super team and a super group of players that are trying to play like a team. Um, and I think Vegas is a super team. Like they against Seattle, they just couldn't miss. Like there's not a shot on the floor that none of these players can't miss. So
Can I interject really quick? So what is
yeah.
New York?
New York is they're they're a super team, but they're still trying to figure it out. I mean, I don't. There's some spots on the floor that I would give Jonquel Jones a 3-point line, and I would space her up a little bit because she hasn't been playing that particularly well out from the outside. But she's dominating in the post, which that's her game, and so they're still trying to figure it out. But Las Vegas has been together for a year. They've just added more pieces to the puzzle. Candace Parker, shout out to her. Shout out to Alicia Clark, who's also been playing really well on that team. So they're a really veteran group, and they're really experienced with each other. So
we're going to say that conversation for this is at week 3, this is week 2, not week 3. Week 3's power rankings. So I want to revisit that conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to get into the final thought of the podcast.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I just some time to find a minute or two to organize.
The final thought. Over the weekend on Twitter, we saw there's some true colors of journalists who cover the women, who cover the WNBA, and I would just like to take this opportunity to remind everybody that we all can grow the game. We all bring something to the table when talking about the WNBA. But I really, really want to give the Black women, Christina Williams, Tarika Foster-Baspey, shout out to the committee, many others for what Ari Chambers, for what they've done for the game. And I thought it was very disingenuous that we had journalists show their true colors, disrespecting, being disrespectful in a group chat, and their true colors were shown. But my final thought is, let's give flowers to those that have bust their asses to be in this profession, because we know that this is a male-dominated profession, and we all know the things that are said about the WNBA. And you go ahead and talk, Brenden, because the more I say, the more I feel like I'm going to say something I'm going to regret. Go ahead.
Yeah. I also wanted to give a shout out to Ari Chambers, Lowe. They're really big. Christina Williams, and other journalists who are of that community. And I was in a space yesterday, and it was Malik McManus who hosted the space, and they were talking about this subject, and they were talking about how these journalists started from the ground up and how hard they worked. And you got to take that with more consideration, because it's like you said, it's a male dominated sport, and the WNBA is even harder to, as much of a league as it's hard to make, it's even harder to get respectable coverage, and to make it as a journalist covering women's sports. And these amazing women have worked so hard to get to where they are, and they've started from the ground up when all the odds were against them. So it's very disrespectful to put them down and put their hard work, or discredit their hard work. And I wanted to give them their flowers as well, because they're so much bigger than the word deserving. So I wanted to echo what you said on that. So
definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Brenden, thank you so much for being a part of this episode. Be tuned for future episodes, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, comment, and subscribe for future content.
I'm elevated, oh yeah. We was waiting, oh yeah, to make a statement, it's clear. The way them boys persevere. Yo, we taking the stairs. Don't let them get in our ear. They go watch, I'ma stare. Tell them pull up a chair. God gon' answer our prayers. Living now. They told me dreams come true once you live it out. I picked the pieces from my childhood in a broken house, and heal my soul from the trauma we've been giving out. I hear the whispers in the wind under smoky clouds, and tell myself once again, I'ma work it out. So much shit can happen, yo, it got me tripping now. Yeah, it's feeling different now.
I wonder if it's worth living now. They told me working 9 to 5 just to make it out, and now the dark nights got me needing mouth to mouth. Resuscitate my dreams, tell me what it's all about. I wonder if it's worth living now. They told me show a little skin just to make it out. They told me grind until I die, till I reach the clouds. Excuse me a little moment while I break out. Never let them take me out.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the next big thing, the next up-and-coming sports journalist, Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I want to thank you, yeah. I want to thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.